welcome guys to Resilient Retail. Can you tell us a little bit about yourselves and your journey into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, wow. Well, I'm Bradley, and it's been an interesting road to entrepreneurship. When I was like, I don't know, 10 years old, I was building websites, like just with like basic website builders. And then when I was in college, I actually started a proper website design business, and while I was working at Red Robin full time.
Nice.
And going to school full time. So I had a crazy college life, hustling. And then after that, I just went through a whole slew of various businesses I've been starting, and some were successful, some weren't. And then we're on Shopify for another company, or I am. It's called Boulder Denim, and we sell like stretchy jeans. And that company is what I've been doing for the last 5 years. And because of that company, we were actually touring around the US, living out of an Airstream Sprinter van. And we converted an old 1974 Airstream into a showroom for our jeans. And our jeans were actually meant for like rock climbers or outdoorsy people. So we were going to every major climbing gym and outdoor festival in the US and Canada. And we did that for 18 months. Which was pretty awesome. On that trip, I was introduced to onewheels. And onewheels are this like electric skateboard with a big fat go-kart tire in the middle. I'm sure you've seen videos of them online or even them riding around. And I thought it was the coolest thing. I saw these people riding in a parking lot at a trade show, and I wanted to learn how to ride, and I sucked. So I couldn't stop thinking about them though, and I kept looking up YouTube videos, and eventually I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna buy one and I'm gonna force myself to learn. So I did, and that one wheel changed my life on the road because I was able to explore and see so much more of each city. And I ended up riding with all the communities in each city. And that kind of is where I became obsessed with personal electric vehicles. That was the first of many. And now I'm into electric unicycles, which are even more powerful and they're more versatile. They sound goofy, but they're actually a lot of fun. And I think it's going to be the new way people get around the city, which is pretty exciting. And then I brought Lukas on because he's got some history that I guess I'll let him share.
Yeah. I same kind of thing, like a lifetime entrepreneur. When I was a little kid, I was like 5 years old, creating homemade cleaning solutions, and I'd just put a bunch of stuff in a bottle and carry it in my little cart and bring it to my neighbors and be like, "This will remove all the stains in your house." No clue if it worked. Consulted with my mother to like create the cleaning solution, and it actually somehow worked, and I sold out and kind of, kept going with that. And then had a little lawn care business when I was in my early 10s or 12s or something like that. And just a bunch of things. I've created 2 companies on Shopify as well, not to the level of, he also didn't mention he was on Dragon's Den with his Boulder Denim company, which is like the Canadian version of Shark Tank. Yeah. I signed a deal too. Yeah, pretty sweet. But yeah, so I actually, just as to how we met really quickly, we grew up in different provinces in Canada. He grew up in British Columbia. I grew up in Alberta, the neighboring province. Didn't know him at all. One May long weekend, I was like 16 years old. He was a bit older. He was at this random campground and a friend of a friend through a friend. There wasn't even no real reason for me to be at that campground that weekend, but we just, through pure serendipity and happenstance, met that weekend. Added each other on Facebook, and like literally 10 years later, he was like, "Oh, dude, we
never talked either.
Never talked, really. Like maybe like liked each other's comments or something." And 10 years later, he was starting Boulder Denim, the aforementioned company, and he saw I'm really, really passionate about rock climbing and bouldering. I do a lot of that, have been for about 10 years, and he's like, "Well, Lukas used to model. I'm long retired, but he's like, Lukas used to model, and he's a climber. Let's bring him to be our Kickstarter, like." Climber guy in the video. So I was the dude in the one of the dudes in the original Kickstarter video, and that's kind of kickstarted our friendship.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah,
me and his business partner, all 3 of us, kind of became very, very, very close friends, and then kept going with life. I've been in sales since I was 19, so I've kind of just always had my day job, and it's hard to walk away from an opportunity like the ones I've had in sales. So still working there, called him to be like, "Dude, I just had an amazing deal. I just closed this huge commission." And he's like, "Interesting. I was thinking of starting a company."
How much money did you get?
Yeah, just got paid how much? And I was living in Calgary at the time, and he's like, "Do you want to move back to Vancouver and start this company with me?" I was like, "Okay." And
Yeah.
6 weeks later.
That was September 24th.
September 24th.
And yeah, so
Yeah.
we actually started during the pandemic, which is probably a little bit different. You're probably used to interviewing people that have been trying to adapt and be resilient during the pandemic, but we are different where we actually started in the middle of it, which has been interesting. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And something I find so interesting is that so early in your journey, even in the middle of a pandemic, it seemed like retail was something that was very important to you guys in the brand. How did you decide that it would be such an important channel for your brand?
Yeah, I think having a physical retail location, like it seems like everyone is starting a website these days. And I think having a physical retail spot it kind of legitimizes everything, and something that people can actually come and test drive the things we sell, because we sell all personal electric vehicles. So we wanted to teach people how to ride, because people look at the EUCs, the electric unicycles, and they're like, oh, there's no way I could ride that. But we know it's easier. It's like riding a bike. Once you learn, it's not that bad, and it's not as dangerous as people think. So our whole goal is to teach people and convert people one person at a time. So every Sunday we do free lessons. If someone pops in the shop, we'll give them the rundown. And so it was really important to have a store to kind of legitimize us, and so we can immediately compete with these other online-only brands. And people, as soon as I see that we have a retail presence and that we're active in the community, we host group rides and lessons, they trust us. That builds a lot more trust with the customer, even though we're a brand new business. So.
Yeah. And we've heard this so many times in the show, how much like customer trust is so important, especially it seems like in this product category that you're in, there is a lot of education and kind of teaching and experience that you need that's hard to get online. Like watching a YouTube video of somebody riding a unicycle is not as easy as someone like hands-on actually teaching you. What was
literally hands-on?
Literally hands-on. I'm almost going to go backwards a little bit in this story. Tell us about the brand and kind of the mission behind it, or how you decided this is the kind of product we want to sell. This is the brand narrative we want to tell. What's all of that? How did that come to be?
Yeah, so I guess when I became obsessed with onewheels, obsessed. I rode over 10,000 kilometers on it. I've done super long trips, and I built my name up in the community as like a reviewer. So I would review all the accessories for the onewheels, and I tried all the different tires you can get for them, because you can get treaded tires, smaller tires, flat tires, round tires. So I reviewed, I think, 12 or more tires, and you have to get about 500 kilometers per tire just to kind of get an idea. You need to break it in. And so I did this massive tire review, and that kind of put me on the map in terms of how one-wheelers knew who I was. And I started selling one-wheels out of my apartment, and just on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. And my buddy, Jeff McCosker, shout out Jeff, he's has a Shopify site called The Float Life. And all he does is, he's like a lifestyle and accessory brand for one-wheels. And he's absolutely killing it down there. And I asked him if I could start the Float Life Canada. So I started the floatlife.ca, and that is kind of what I started in my apartment. And I was literally shipping the products from my balcony in my apartment last July. And it was instantly fairly successful. And as I see the sales come through and what I'm able to sell just out of my apartment, I was like, okay, we can easily afford rent. And I might make no money at first, but we can easily afford rent and like open a store. And I did all these projections, and we blew our projections. Our first month, our first 6 weeks, we pretty much sold out of all of our inventory. And I thought we had 6 months worth of inventory stocked up. So it's been a really good start.
And that's zero paid advertising. A little bit of like Google
Map ads.
Google Map ads, but like we literally can't even advertise online, because just pure foot traffic, and then not super high foot traffic part of Vancouver. We're in Chinatown, downtown East Side. We sold out of everything that we have. A great problem to have, don't get me wrong. The best problem, but
yeah, it sounds like that problem. I'm using air quotes for those who are not watching the video. A quote unquote problem seems like it was stemmed from starting from a place of expertise and community. Really starting in that, like, okay, they can trust that you are somebody who knows what they're talking about. There's already this kind of legitimization around what you're selling. And then you open a store and people are like, okay, through and through, that's like, this is a real brand. These guys are actually passionate. I can get a good product, and kind of create this longer term relationship because you set yourself up as an expert in the field. Was that something you did on purpose, or did you kind of stumble into it?
No, it was kind of happened naturally. I mean, in my back of my mind while I'm one-wheeling, I'm like, man, it'd be amazing to somehow make this my full-time job. Like, I would love to for this to be my career. Like, I change one-wheel tires and perform services for people, review all the products, and it just kind of all happened naturally. In fact, I actually just started selling like random one-wheel T-shirts and stuff online, and those sold pretty well. And so I don't know, I've just been kind of goofing off with it. But I think I naturally built trust within the community, and that just helped big time once we opened. It was pretty simple.
Definitely.
It felt so, I remember my partner, who's the third of our little group, she did all the branding in here and our logo and everything. She's like, man, this seems like pretty easy. We just had like instant sales. I'm like, Kate, this was a lot of build. It wasn't easy. I worked the last 8 weeks, 12 hours a day. I haven't had a day off. It hasn't been easy. But she's just seeing it from like, she doesn't work here every day, and she's just seeing it from the outside. Yeah. I thought it was pretty funny. But
Lukas, I'm curious what it was for you, like as you started seeing Bradley go through this experimentation, and then he kind of calls you up and is like, hey, do you want to just like start another business and come do retail? What was it about that proposition that like made you go, all right, there's something here and I want to be a part of it?
Good question, Kristen. Yeah. The main thing is that, as I'm sure you very well know, and through conversations and your own experience, a business partner is much like a life partner, a wife or a husband or a significant other, where you need to trust them essentially with your life, right? Like, you're going to be with this person every single day, and we've been together every single day. So it's got to be a very particular person, and I'm a very particular person, and Bradley is a very particular person in our own different ways. And I had started everything I've ever started on my own because I would have loved to partner with someone, and I'd been offered a million different opportunities, oh, we should do this, bro. Oh, totally, yeah, let's do it. And then nothing happens, right? The only things that ever happened were on my own, by my own volition. And and this isn't, just pandering to my business partner. I could think of one, maybe two people in my life that I would actually go into the trenches and build a proper large, like maybe a little hobby thing with one or two more people, but like proper business like this, not many people at all. And Bradley's number one amongst that list of people. So I didn't reach out to him at all thinking like, oh, maybe I'm going to start a business and move to Vancouver with him. It was just, know.
When I asked him, it was an instant yes. He didn't even really think about it. Didn't want to see my numbers yet. He was just like, yeah, no, let's do it.
I would say the one bit of research I did do, because I immediately was like, ooh, work with Bradley, move to Vancouver again, start something new and exciting. I was working on a whole different thing, completely different thing. But I quickly looked at what the kind of annualized yearly growth rate of e-scooters and personalized electric vehicles as a whole were, and the numbers were staggering. And then I talked to Bradley, and he's like, and these are not even legal technically in Vancouver yet. They actually just May 1st, for those watching down the road, like 3 or 4 days ago. It's May 4th right now. They actually became legal, and we knew that was coming. So it was like, and it's during COVID, everyone's scared to start a business. We're going to get an amazing rent. I'm going to be starting a business with one of the people I trust more than anyone in the world, in an amazing, exciting new place. We're going to be doing something that literally no one else in North America is doing to the level that we're doing. No one has, a service shop, a place where you can come in and demo and try every single wheel, plus online sales, plus a fanatical focus on customer support, which we haven't really gotten into yet, but another exciting part about what we do. So that was it. It was just like, it was all just a perfect picture, and I'm impulsive with that kind of stuff. We just did it.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a parallel. That's a good thing. I feel like you have to have it in entrepreneurship, but it's such an interesting parallel between, if you ask a consumer, why do you like this brand so much? Or why do you like this retail store so much? Oftentimes it's that weird just magic of like, well, when I walk in, I know the owner, or like, my dog gets a treat every time we go into the liquor store, or they ask me about my life. Like, it really comes down to that human connection, that kind of almost friendship you develop with a brand. And so for you guys to have that seems like it's like kind of the magic spark that then led to this beautiful community and customer service kind of angle, which we will get into because it's very, very important. But before we get into that, for anybody who's not watching the video, one, you can go to YouTube and watch all of these conversations. I have a neon green sign behind me, and these guys have a almost matching neon green and pink sign. I have seen pictures of the inside of your store. It is such a cool location. How did you guys go about even designing the store? Because it looks like it's a little different than kind of like a quote unquote traditional retail space.
Yeah, I mean, wish Kate was here to talk about it.
Shout out Kate.
My partner, shout out Kate. She killed it, but we wanted to make something that was kind of like an Apple Store experience, very minimalist, enough space where someone can actually ride in the store and just like test drive it, ride from one end to the other. They go up a little ramp, and something that was modular. So all the walls, I don't know if you can kind of tell in the video, but there's pegboard holes there. So we can actually move the shelving around, move all the products around to whoever we want. And no one can see that, but
someone watching on like a 60-inch TV, really YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we wanted to, and we actually have railings too. So if you are watching on YouTube, you can see the handrails.
Wow.
And that is where we teach people how to ride. So on every Sunday, we teach people how to ride the electric unicycles. And they start on the railings and they kind of hold on and they kind of get the feel for it. And they start riding around the railings while kind of starting to let go a little bit. And then we take everybody to the park and we let them ride in the big open space in the park. And we do that every Sunday, which is kind of fun. It's actually probably the favorite part of my week because it's the one time we're getting vitamin D.
Yeah.
We're like finally outside because we're stuck in the store for so long. And we're like, yes.
You catch me at least, if it's a sunny day, you catch me at least 5 times in those lessons, just being like,
outside air.
You're doing great.
I love it. Okay, so let's get into this, like how important customer service is to your business. It obviously there's like it's a very personal purchase and almost one that I think it's not an impulse buy, obviously, and it's something that you have to test out and try out and have to build all this trust. How do you go about, especially with not a massive crew or, a massive amount of money that you can just go into completely doing online and offline, massive customer service? How do you approach this need that you knew is so important to the brand?
Yeah, we kind of were willing to risk a little bit of money and capital if we need to like take care of a customer. And when it comes to like warranty or even like little things, like we've had a customer like crash their scooter and we just fixed it for them. And like no charge. And it just, I feel like if you're going to have a retail experience and you might be paying a little bit more, although our prices are actually pretty competitive, that we want to make sure that it's like an experience. And that's why Lucas and I love being at the store. And we have hired a technician who works in the back. But
you might be able to hear him hammering shit. He's working.
He's working right now. But we want to just create an experience and make sure everybody feels comfortable with their purchase, that they know how to ride. And we also have this huge aspect around safety in the community. And we wanted, one of our mission statement is actually to change the public's perception on personal electric vehicles and to reduce the amount of cars on the road, because so many people see us on the road, and this was probably worse like a year or two ago when they weren't as common, but people yelling at us and saying, those are dangerous. And a lot of people just freaking out. And there's always the bad apple that's like the one riding on the sidewalk when they shouldn't be. But so we're here to educate everyone that buys one to make sure that they like stick to road rules. And I actually think that helps when it comes to the whole customer service aspect too, because they can see that we really care about the public's perception. And if we show that and we show that we care, then hopefully our customers care. And ultimately, the whole community will grow as a whole if everybody's like a respectful rider. And that's like a big part of our customer service, I'd say.
Yeah, I want to share a story. I'm going to share the burger beer story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
this sounds good.
It's good. It's good. I'm a really big believer, and both of us are really big believers of creating raving fans, 1,000 true fans, whatever, you want to, the 1,000 true fans PDF or raving fans the book. Or I really like also Reid Hoffman's idea about doing things that don't scale when you're small, right? So doing when you want to hyperscale, which we're planning on doing, it seems that we might be growing aggressively quickly here with some added investment and a couple things. But so I really was thinking that right at the start, like I want to take as many opportunities to just blow people's minds, especially when we're at the beginning here and we have a bit of time to be able to do this stuff. And we're both the ones in the shop every day, which won't last forever, right?
Yeah.
And we're, our initial purchasers, our initial supporters. So we had a guy who came in, part of the EUC community, and he came in with another buddy, and he not a super wealthy guy. This was like a tight purchase for him, and he was buying what's called the Veteran Sherman. It's an electric unicycle that's rather expensive.
Yeah, after tax, it's like $4,300.
Yeah,
wow.
So not a cheap thing, and he was using it mostly as a delivery vehicle for Uber Eats because it has such good range and performance that if you want to make money using Uber Eats, and you know how to ride one of these, we've heard of people making like $45, $50, $55 an hour. Because they can just go all day, and like they get tired before the thing runs out of range. So it's just compared to a scooter, which most delivery drivers use. Anyways, I digress. So he wanted to get one of these, and it was a strong investment to his. And after much thought, he decided to get it. And he was with he's kind of like a little more quiet, reserved guy, and he was with his buddy who was the antithesis of that. He was just loud and swearing and all this. So we're kind of sitting here. He gets everything, and he's like, "Oh, how are we gonna get this? How are we gonna get this home? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'll carry it." And I'm kind of sitting in the back. I have a car, and I'll say his name. And I was like, "Ivan, I can deliver it to you after we get off work. No problem. I'll deliver it to your door." She's like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, but like I already paid enough. What's the charge on that?" Like, "No charge. We'll deliver it to your door." And he was just like, whoa. But then I saw how excited he was about how it was just something to just deliver it to his door, which wasn't far away. It's like 7-minute drive from the shop. So I got all excited. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good opportunity to really do something above and beyond. Like we've started. That's level 1. What's level 2? And then his buddy says, oh, that's good service, but you better get him a fucking beer or a fucking burger too. So you better get him a burger too. So I just think about it for a second. I'm like, wow, why not? So then I shout out to Ivan. I'm like, hey, Ivan, what kind of burger do you want? And he just stares at me for a second. He's like, and his buddy's like, he asked you what kind of burger you want. And Ivan's like, I know what he said. I can't comprehend what's happening right now. You actually going to get me a burger? I'm like, yeah, what kind of burger do you want? He's like, oh, I guess fat burger. I don't know. He didn't want to ask for something crazy. So then they leave. He's like just blown away. Goes home, and I get his details where we're going to deliver it to. And then he messages Bradley, and he's like, hey, I don't have Lucas's number. I want to get him a 6-pack of Heineken and see if he wants to sit down with me and have some beers once he comes to deliver it. I didn't have time nor the desire to drink and then drive back to my house. So I showed up to his house with a 6-pack of Heineken as well, and went to this, and a burger. and instead of going to the burger place that he suggested, which was kind of like a decent, half decent, semi-cheap burger joint, I went to this place called the American, which was like high end, one of the highest reviewed burgers in the city.
It's a good burger.
And got him this like super fancy burger from the American, a 6-pack of Heineken, and brought the wheel to his place, and was like, so here's your burger, got it from the American, and I heard you say you wanted to offer me some beer. I can't stay, but here's a 6-pack of Heineken. He was just like, oh, it was just so cool to see. Yeah. And there's been a couple stories like that, not quite as insane, but
sometimes he'll deliver the wheels with candy, or we have one of the best donut shops across line up all the time, and he's like delivered donuts with their wheels, and it's just great seeing their reaction. And like you said, we're able to do that now because we're small and we don't have a bunch of people here. So
don't expect burgers and donuts for everything you order. But if I can find a way, like if I know someone's Instagram, I will creep your Instagram. I will find out if you're into manga magazines. I'm gonna freaking attach a manga magazine and ship it in that box if I have the time or resources to do so. Even if I don't have the resources, I'm gonna make it happen. So
it's been fun. It's fun. I love seeing the reactions.
It's so cool. But that's the stuff that builds. It's like you can buy some of these scooters that we sell on Amazon, but you're not going to get a 1-year warranty serviced in the back. You're not going to get to meet the owners of the business. You're not going to have a conversation. You're not going to be able to test it, drive it, touch it, feel it, go around the neighborhood with one of the owners of the company and talk about all the benefits of it. And you're not going to get candy or a burger,
No, Lucas, I love this story so much because anybody who has listened to this show or knows me or has listened to me talk about anything, I think one of my most common phrases is do the things that don't scale as often as you possibly can. And it's such a good story of like, not just the like little things that don't scale, like adding a handwritten note or something. This is this is way over the top. So one day I hope I can come and get a free burger and beer. That's a pretty good it's a pretty good deal for being a customer.
Right.
You got it.
What was it about Vancouver that made you decide, okay, this is where we're going to put our retail store?
I actually grew up in Vancouver most of my life.
Nice.
But, well, not Vancouver, suburbs. And then after my trip, my 18-month trip around the US, after visiting every single state and city, there's so many times I was in California, I'm like, oh, I'm going to move here after I get back. And then I got back to Vancouver and I almost forgot how amazing Vancouver is. And I'm like, what was I thinking? California is great. It's sunny all year round. But something about Vancouver, when I came back, I was like, this is where I have to be. And I lived in Toronto for 3 years, and honestly, it was the worst 3 years of my life. Sorry, Torontonians.
That's true.
I just couldn't stand the winters. I remember the very first winter there, we had that ice storm, and I lost power in my apartment for like a whole 6 days right over Christmas. And I remember being like minus 30 inside my apartment, and I'm like drinking wine straight out of the bottle, trying to like keep warm with the alcohol. It was just dark. It was the most depressing week of my life, and I'm like, I never want to go back to Toronto.
This is a dark phase.
But one of the reasons why I think we chose Vancouver, because we did think about other options as well, is because it's super green friendly, and the city is actually actively trying to reduce the amount of congestion on the roads, and that's a big thing. We want to reduce the amount of cars on the roads as well. And everything we sell will actually replace a vehicle, unless you need to cargo up. But I've actually done a whole Costco trip, towing a giant cart of Costco groceries,
Wow.
$400 worth of groceries, towing with my arm, towing it with my one wheel, which was good times. But I don't know if you want to answer that, Vancouver.
Yeah, I grew up in Alberta, and anytime I went to BC, I just had such a blast. And then the first time I went to Vancouver, it was just like, anybody who listens to this who grew up in Calgary or Edmonton or Saskatchewan or any kind of the interior plains areas, or really anywhere other than maybe Montreal or Vancouver, maybe Toronto, it's such a different experience when you come to a city like Vancouver and just like, wait, but the ocean is right there? Like I've barely even seen the ocean and the mountain. I can see the mountains. Like I can see the mountains in Calgary, but like not like this. And it's just such an overwhelming, and just the color and the culture. And I was in love with Vancouver right away. Then I went to Vancouver Film School when I was 19, and I never wanted to leave. And I had like a kind of family tragedy that I had to move back home, which ended up kind of leaving me there for quite a few years. But then had a breakup. I was like, I know where I'm going. Moved back to Vancouver. And I've kind of bounced back and forth between Calgary and Vancouver, but it's just, I know where I always want to be. And the second that this opportunity came up and was like, and I have a reason to go back to Vancouver, like now, let's go. It's just a place to be.
We're already talking about opening our second store in the US.
Wow.
And we're bouncing between the idea of either Austin, Texas or San Diego. And I've been to both. I love both cities, and I'd prefer the weather of San Diego being by the ocean. But Austin just seems like such an ideal place too. It's a booming city. It's like really green friendly as well, and the electric e-scooters are already legal there. And there's so many reasons why Austin would be a good. And it's central for shipping, because we want to have like a hub in Canada, hub in the US. And that's our next step, is just making sure we're not Canada only. We're serving Canada and the US as quickly as we can.
Something you just said sounds so important. We talk a lot about a kind of like the locality of retail and really marketing in your local community and connecting with that local community. And clearly there's this like local connection on not just kind of like the demographics or the interest, but also the philosophy behind Vancouver, that green initiative that really connects with the brand. How else are you guys working to kind of market to and attract your local customers to the store?
Group rides. So we host group rides, and I was hosting group rides before we even opened the store. So I was kind of the guy in the city doing it for the one wheel group. And then Dan was the person doing it for the EUC, the electric unicycle group. And now sometimes we join forces and we do a group ride with all of them. But group rides are a huge part of it. And that's another reason why a lot of people already know of who I am, and that I used to be the guy selling stuff out of my apartment. And even we've actually already built up the community quite a bit in other cities in the US as well. Like I have a ton of One Wheel friends that live in Austin and San Diego. And I know we'd be able to open up there like right away, and people would already know who at least I am through the One Wheel community, which is kind of exciting. So that was one benefit of this whole road trip I did, is just being able to connect with every single community in every major city. I didn't realize it at the time how valuable it'd be. I was doing it for fun, like to explore the city with these eclectic group of people, because every city is kind of like the same eclectic group. There's like all sorts of different types of people, but when you after going from city to city, you realize it's like the same eclectic group in every single city. And we're just a bunch of goofballs that were like early adopters for these weird one-wheel devices that become an obsession and passion.
Yeah. And those community rides too are also, like, from my perspective, it's like live, moving, and engaging advertisement for anybody who walks by and is like, what in the world is going on over there? And then you're also giving all of your own customers like even deeper and deeper experiences, which brings us all the way back around to that. Like, now they're going to be the ones who are telling other people about your brand. And it takes a lot of that marketing pressure off of you guys. Lukas, do you have like a favorite marketing campaign or ride or story that you want to share with us? Because I can tell that you are a goofball with lots of really good stories. So I got to ask.
Do you mean like a favorite marketing campaign that we've done at eevees, or just like a favorite marketing campaign that's been done in the past?
Yeah, one that you guys have done.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, we're only 6 weeks and a couple days old. We haven't been able to market that much. And in the kind of COVID era too, right? A lot of the big benefits of why we open this retail store is to interact with people kind of face to face from a nice socially distanced, space. But
we have the restrictions right now. We're not allowed to have group rides with over 10 people right now. So we haven't been able to do what we want since we've opened, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. But it's more about the ideas that we have down the road when things kind of clear up a little bit and we have free reign, and we're not kind of, I don't want to say stuck at the shop, because that sounds like we don't want to be here, but if in a way we're the ones operating the store. Once we have more employees and we can kind of like spread our wings a little bit and focus more on business development, marketing, different business channels, creating better relationships.
We talk about our YouTube channel a little bit.
Yeah. Not only YouTube, like we're that's like something we're going to build, but it's just one of the many different pieces of once we can get in front of people again and doing live demos at festivals. And
with the YouTube channel, like next Sunday, we're hosting a smaller group ride for one-wheelers, for EUCers. And in the community, they kind of butt heads a lot. Like the one-wheelers hate the EUCers and the EUCers hate the one-wheelers. Not all of them, but it's this weird online like battle going on. And I want to have 4 of each go on a group ride on Sunday, which I know is Mother's Day. Sorry, Mom. And I'm going to interview the one-wheelers, why they like the one-wheel, why they think it's better than the EUC, and vice versa. And so they'll be kind of part of our YouTube channel. And then there's another guy who's like known as the curb slide guy, and he does all the curb tricks on the one wheel. And there's these new bumpers brought out around the same time by 3 different companies, one-wheel accessory companies. And he's the guy to test and review these things. So he's been actually testing them on curbs, and he's going to come in, have a beer in front of the neon sign, and we'll have a YouTube video with him. And he's well known. That's Steve. Hey, Steve. Yeah, he's our repair guy.
That's awesome, because what just happened was you guys just fell into my podcaster's trap. And now I get to bring it all the way around for my audience, which is, I get these questions all the time from local retailers of like, what digital marketing should I be doing? What are the campaigns I should be running? What channels should I be on? And the power of retail is that, well, yes, you can do those things when you have the ability. You have this human connection, in-person connection, where a lot of the marketing quote unquote campaigns are actually just like talking and engaging with customers. Always my number one piece of advice is like, before you go try to start some crazy Facebook ad campaign or a new, massive YouTube channel, is it starting from a place of understanding what people actually want because you've talked to them in your store again and again? So, thank you for falling perfectly into my little podcast.
You're some marketing ideas now for future Facebook ads. I'm like, oh, wait a second, this could be a good way.
There we go. But yeah, since you guys are still, kind of early in your journey, and I know a lot of people who are listening are either considering opening a retail store, they are early in their journey, or they're early and kind of they've pivoted in the last year, and so their business feels very new to them. If you had one piece of advice for kind of getting through and finding success in those early days and staying so positive when it really is like a very difficult thing that you guys are doing, what would that advice be for somebody?
It's like, make sure what you're starting is going to solve a problem and that you're not just trying to sell something to sell something. I think it's really important that you're actually like solving a problem when you're opening a business. And I've made that mistake in the past with other businesses where like, I thought I was just selling something just to sell something. And this is the first time where people actually like are wanting electric kick scooters or to get a new form of transportation. And I think that's a big part of it. And just making sure that you do the math and make sure that you crunch the numbers. Are you going to be able to pay the rent every month? Do you have enough cash flow to build it up in time? We were lucky that, and smart for realizing that COVID is actually had a huge surge in like bicycle sales, for example, but also personal electric vehicles, where people just want to get outside right now. They can't hang out in groups indoors. So it allows them to tour around Stanley Park, Seawall. And I think that's a big reason why we've been so successful is people are itching to get outside. We're kind of a COVID-proof business in a way where it's the pandemic, if anything, has helped us, which I know it's been quite unfortunate for many other businesses. And I have friends who own restaurants and it's been really tough for them. And I really hope they stay resilient and they get through it because it's been...
Good shout out.
Oh,
I'd say it's for me it's pretty much on the same vein of what Bradley said. It's something that solves a problem, but even if it's not solving problem, which you can angle anything to solve a problem, it's get on trends, not fads. You know, fads are going to go away quickly. Trends, especially if you find good ones, continue to go upwards. Especially if they're solving a problem.
I will second that. I've had a fad business and after 5 years, the fad went away and it fizzled out. And
Trends, not fads.
Yeah, that's a good.
Oh, if there's a pull quote from this interview, it's that one right there. That was fantastic.
Oh, shit.
So that leads us into our final question of the interview. You guys can both answer it. One of you can take it however you want to do it. But as the show is called Resilient Retail, and there's such a intricate definition of resiliency that I think is very personal to a brand, to a single person. So what does resilience mean to you guys and to eevees? I
would say for me, like adapting to change and making sure you're able to like navigate through changing times, especially right now through the pandemic and seeing an opportunity and not delaying and not waiting and just if you think it's going to be successful and you crunch your numbers, just do it. And that is my way of being like resilient and just because my other business, manufacturing, the clothing sector was really struggling and we stayed resilient through that business and we're kind of pushing through it now, but man, that was a lot tougher than this one. The denim has not been good to us. But what about you, Lukas?
I'd summate it quickly by just saying maintaining or continuing to grow gratitude and awareness through the hardest of times. It's staying aware during every moment and being present through the good and the bad, almost stoically if you're into that kind of stuff, and just always attaching to what you're grateful for every single day, being aware of that gratitude and just the tie-in of gratitude and awareness has helped me be resilient through the hardest of hard things in my life. And then also when it comes to the work, I don't want to be so cheesy, but you need to just fucking do it.
Just fucking do it. Oh, I love it. Guys, thank you so much.
Do it.
Just fucking do it. Guys,
he's got that's my favorite tattoo on it for sure.
I love it. This has been so much fun. I can't wait until maybe one day I can come have some burgers and beers with you guys. Thank you so much for being on the show.
You got it. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.